Hello and welcome to another episode of Supercoach Insider. It's just me today, Chris, talking you through my team, or should I say my disaster of round 10, which was really frustrating. Had a very, very, very bad week. Obviously, the biggest thing, I have no Clayton Oliver, but let's take it from the top. I scored 22-48 this week, which was just it's not terrible. It's just like not even close to competing with the top teams. And obviously was ranked, I think, 548 or similar. And now I'm right out to 996. So still just inside the top 1,000. But wasn't really happy with my result. Now, if you're having a look at my teams, obviously the biggest thing that happened was the fact that I did not have. Hold on, let me reverse the changes for that I'm going with last week and take you back to what actually happened. Didn't have Clary, so that's obviously the biggest thing that happened last week. Also have Andrew Brayshaw, which meant that I had to play Scott on field. So I had that 18 there. The only other real option was I would have to play Poulter forward or play McNeil on field. Like, obviously I was going to go with Scott. That's just a no-brainer. 18 points really hurt me. That was unfortunate. But I just had a few bullets. Obviously, Houston as well with the 49. Like, come on, Houston. Like, I don't even know if he's going to play this week. He just looked completely out of it. Hopefully, the buy does him well. I've looked at options to trade him to get him up to Whitfield, but I'm just not confident that it's worth the 80K at this point. I might reassess after the buy. We'll see how we go. But yeah, going through, I mean, obviously, Ridley was pretty good. Backline kind of underperformed this week as it's had a few weeks of going really, really well. Doherty only the 96, Lloyd the 98, Short, which after a really, really good first half only ended on 77. I obviously had to play, I brought in Lockie Jones this week as one of my trades. So I moved Laird into the midfield and then brought in Lockie Jones as that rookie downgrade. And he only scored at 48, but he did go up, 45K, so you can't really complain there. Kelly's game was a lot better than his 102 gave him credit for. I'll go through the stats in the main pod, but it was amazing. And he only got 102. Taranto obviously only the 102. Obviously, yeah, I'm happy with that. If he hits 100 on most weeks, I'm very happy with that. Of course, Walsh, Titch, and McRae just doing their thing, which is pretty good. But yeah, the big ones obviously fired. So when Bont and Clary fire, my team gets fucking smoked. And the reason obviously is that a lot of teams in the top 1,000 have those players. And my uniques against them, in say a Brayshaw and Taranto, who are cheap uniques, just don't cut the mustard when they go big. So I did VC Gordon, and I could have taken his number. I decided to fly the gauntlet. Obviously, with Clary going so big, I needed to try and get some points back, so I took the risk it for the biscuit approach and went with Grundy as the captain. Yay, I gained another 14 points. And then my forward line performed pretty well. Like I was okay with Dusty's 86 considering the game. Impey's still powering along. He's not going to the great heights that he was earlier in the season, but still powering along with those 90s. Zorko's been a fantastic in for me, Zeeble, and of course I brought in Aaron Hall as well for McCreary, which actually has proved to be a very good in, considering that McCreary is now injured for 2 weeks. So that'll probably see him out until after the bye. We'll see how that goes. So this week, how do we go about this week? I've got about 50 different options. I do have 106K in the bank, so I've got a little bit of money to play with. I've dabbled with, so Steele is the obvious in that I've been flaunting for this week for probably the last 3 weeks. I've been trying to get Steele and looking at his break even and seeing when I can bring him in. This is the week I want him and I can afford him. However, I do feel that it might be more important to take the cash on offer this week and do a double downgrade. And there's a few reasons for that, but we've got the two big rookies on the bubble, and that is Madden at 123K defender forward, and the other one is Cody Whiteman, 174K, I believe, forward. Now, unfortunately, going to Whiteman, which is probably the best in, doesn't really net you that much cash because he's obviously so expensive. Now, I can technically still do that trade. It'll leave me with about 2,000 in the bank if I go Whiteman and Steele in, and I go Flynn and Scott out. I can actually do that trade. So it's not too bad. Unfortunately, what I would like to do is trade out McNeil and Scott and keep Flynn, because I think Flynn might actually play one more round. I then cannot afford Steele if I do that. I end up with about 520k. It's just not enough. So it kind of forces me, if I want to go that way, to trade Flynn. So that's one negative of doing it. And of course, the other one is that if I cast my eye towards the next couple of weeks, the only rookies that seem to be available is Ned Reeves, who played his first game pretty well at the Hawks and ruck only 123k. And of course, Zach Smith, who's an expensive rookie, but is I think 214k. And obviously, as long as he stays fit, is going to be the number one ruckman for the rest of the season at the Gold Coast Suns. Now, the problem with both those guys and my team is that I already have Fullerton. So my plan was always to rotate Fullerton to R3 eventually and trade in a forward rook, which I can do if I trade out Flynn to, say, a Madden type or a Waitman. Now, what that means, though, is that I then can't really use the advantage of getting a Reeves or a Zach Smith without continuing to have that zero on my Pine in the forward line, which leaves me vulnerable later in the year. So those rookies aren't really suitable for my team. And also, not to mention, they both share the same early buy. So they share the same buy as Matt Flynn. So when you want to bring him in, you can't anyway. So yeah, it's those rookies aren't really great for anyone. Outside of that, we're really hoping on debuts and maybe going early next week on someone. So I'm leaning towards taking the cash and offer this week and grabbing Madden and Waitman, and then next week grabbing Steele. And the reason I'm leaning towards that as well is the break even of Steele, which is about 122. So that's likely going to be me this week. Now, in terms of vice captain and captain options, I think there's a lot of flexibility this week. But let me just quickly bring up the fixtures, and that'll make it a bit easier. Here we go. So I hope you guys had a good week as well. So we've got the big one on the Friday night. So I think it's a no-brainer if Steph Martin and English are still not named. English has had those lingering concussion symptoms, and Martin's been out for quite a few weeks, and they've been playing Jordan Sweet. I will 100% VC a Gorn in that situation. If not, I'm quite comfortable VCing someone like a McRae on that Friday night. And we've got that game on the Sunday, on the first game of the Saturday with Grundy as well. And he'll be rucking either against Asava or Stanley. I think that they might go the two ruckman potentially against Grundy, because he's just in red hot form. He's just absolutely dominating. And so they might want that extra body against the Pies. But I'll still back him in. He's just scoring phenomenally. But I mean, outside of that, you could really go anyone. I actually really like Tom Mitchell against the Suns if he can continue this hot streak. And that is pretty much about it in terms of what I would recommend at this point. Just because of safety. And also remember, with vice captain and captain, sometimes it is important to play the numbers, and you've got two obvious VC and C options back to back. You just got to take them. So the 2 towers this week, I think, is pretty makes a lot of sense, and that's about it. So yeah, that's my wrap on how things are going with my team. Unfortunately, I'm trying to stay in that top 1,000. We've still got 14 trades. If I do these 2 trades, I'll show you what actually how it works in my team. So I'll be trading McNeil and Scott. Now, the other good thing about, I should quickly touch on this. The other great thing about having Waitman and Madden is that both of them depend. As I think for Waitman, he needs to average 70, like gets consecutive 70s, and he makes 100k in 2 weeks, which is fantastic because you then have the option he'll be 280k or close to be able to upgrade him at his buy, which is only in 2 weeks. So that's important. But also, a lot of people running Hall, Zeeble, and Impey in their forward lines, which is 3 of those first buy rounds. So you're going to want to have rookies that don't have those buy rounds. These guys are going to be able to take you through, which it makes a lot of sense to me. So we'll grab Waitman, throw him in there. There we go. Now, it will mean that I'll likely have to play these guys both on field. Let me put... And what am I doing here? Oh, I will have to move Dusty temporarily into the midfield to make this work. So we'll pop in Madden. There we go. Now, what this also does that I do like, so it leaves me with 343k, which is great for one down one. I'll be able to get 2 premiums with that money. So what it will mean moving forward is that I can go say, let's say I need to trade out a defender premium, a defender rookie, but there's no defender rooks. I can swing, I can trade out a Jones and swing Madden back, or something similar. I've got a lot more flexibility with that forward defensive swing. So that is actually something that I'm looking forward to. Realistically, with Madden, I'm only looking to keep him for 2 weeks. Like, if he gets you to the bye, I'm happy. He'll probably make close to 100k. I think he only needs to get 60s, and in his role and the way that he plays, he can definitely hit 60s consecutively. So 260s, bang. I'd love to get more out of him, but if he gets you to that bye and then doesn't come back the next week, whatever. Something that is really good about Madden, though, is that his debut game, which was in round 7, he came in for Gardner. So it looks more likely that he's in for Gardner and not in for, who was the other guy who got injured? Leicester. It looks more likely. Now, they do have guys coming back who play similar roles, but I think as long as he performs the way he did, he played fantastic last week. I think that he's got good job security for at least now. I think he'll at least get you to the bye, and then they'll probably have another look at it the week after the bye, and then we'll go from there. But as long as he gets you there, I'm happy. I'll just take that and I'll move it on. But that is me. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Good luck. And it looks like I'm going to take a hit for this week to make sure that I'm going to be right over the next few weeks. And that will be me. Catch you guys.